our world still remains a huge mystery. We think we know a lot about our world, but in reality, we don't. Every now and again, scientists will discover new fossils that will change the way we look at life as we know it. Maybe it's the discovery of new terrifying ancient creatures or species. Whatever it is, it forces us to rethink everything we have ever been taught about our world. Starting off this countdown, we have the crazy beast. Given the name Adalatheriumhi, which translates to crazy beast, this creature was discovered in Madagascar. Now, this creature is a weird mixture of things. It's really quite strange. It's said to have a bunch of characteristics that have never been seen together before. So it's said to be about the size of an opossum, but looks like a badger, and has forearms and shoulders located under the body, similar to cats and dogs, but its hind legs are opposite to that. The legs are more spread out and have sprawling knee joints, like reptiles. This suggests that it walked in a very strange way. Told ya, it's a really weird creature. In our 9th spot, we have the woolly rhino. So I'm sure you've heard of the woolly mammoth. But have you ever heard of the woolly rhino? In 2011, fossils of this creature were discovered on the Tibetan Plateau. It's said to be about 3.6 million years old and looks just like a woolly rhino. So it has the body shape of a rhino with the 2 horns, but it was covered in shaggy brown hair. It's believed that these creatures went extinct due to overhunting or climate change. Climate change might have caused the disappearance of the animal's food sources and habitat, causing them to go extinct. In our 8th spot, we have Homo naledi. This next fossil discovery literally changes everything we have ever learned about evolution. In 2015, researchers in South Africa discovered hominid fossils in a large burial hole. Except these fossils didn't relate to any of the known hominid fossil families, meaning they belong to a new family of human ancestors. They were named Homo naledi and apparently lived right before the rise of Homo sapiens, but their bodies were similar to older hominid species, which doesn't make any sense. So instead of saying that we evolved from them, it seems like they were alive around the same time as Homo sapiens, meaning they probably interacted with each other at some point. This changes the history of evolution completely. It means multiple human species evolved and coexisted together. Coming in at number 7, we have the Arctic dinosaur. When we think of dinosaurs, we probably think of them roaming around in warm tropical climates, right? Well, this next fossil discovery makes it seem like dinosaurs once lived in the Arctic. The fossils found in the Arctic indicate that dinosaurs, nearly 30 feet long, lived there 69 million years ago. So dinosaurs were considered only cold-blooded creatures. But if these dinosaurs survived in the polar climate, then this means that they must have created their own heat, meaning their blood systems are way more complex than we thought. It also has made scientists wonder how the dinosaurs got there in the first place. What caused them to migrate there? We still don't know the answers to these questions. Moving on at number 6, we have Godzillas. I know what you're thinking. Godzillas? Does this mean they have found fossil evidence that Godzilla is real? No, not quite. Back in 2011, a man named Ron Fine discovered a bunch of fossils with plant-like patterns outside of Covington, Kentucky. After piecing the fossils together, it was revealed that the creature was gigantic, probably around 7 to 9 feet tall with arms protruding from the side, which is why it was named Godzillas. Now, the thing is, scientists can't tell if the fossil is of a creature or of a plant. On one hand, they claim that it looks like a really tall, slug-like giant. That's terrifying, let's hope not. So it literally could have been like a massive sea monster. On the other hand, they say that it looks like a flattened cactus. So they theorize maybe it's of seaweed or kelp. I prefer the latter. It's less scary.
A plant that lived 47 million years ago in what is now Utah doesn't match anything that's alive today. It was first discovered in 1969. Scientists thought the plant was part of the ginseng family, but it turns out it's way more complicated than that. The plant, which has since been named Ophthalmophyton elongatum, actually belongs to an extinct family. When the first fossils were dug up, researchers, including paleontologist Harry McGinnity, put it in the same group as plants like ginseng ginseng, and ivy because of the structure of its leaves. But then another set of fossils were found, and that's when things get a bit weirder. As Stephen Manchester from the Florida Museum of Natural History said, the fossil is rare and having the twig with attached fruits and leaves. Usually these parts are found separately. As Manchester and his team studied the new fossils, he realized that this one didn't match anything in the ginseng family or any modern plants for that matter. The plant's stamens, which usually fall off when the fruit matures, were still attached. Despite more research, they couldn't find anything like it in the fossil records, so they gave it the overly complicated sciencey name, which translates to elongated alien plant. The Peking man is one of the most famous and mysterious fossil discoveries ever. Found in the 1920s near Beijing, these fossils are thought to belong to a subspecies of Homo erectus, but there's still a lot we don't understand about them. What's strange is that the fossils show a mix of traits that don't quite fit anywhere. Some scientists think that the Peking men could have been an early version of modern humans, but others aren't so sure. The bones show signs of brain development that were more advanced than earlier hominins, but not quite as advanced as fully modern humans. And it doesn't help that the fossils disappeared during World War II when the site was being excavated. They've searched for the bones for years, but they've never been recovered. All we have now are photos and casts. So what exactly was Peking man? Was it a direct ancestor of modern humans or some sort of offshoot? We still don't know for sure. A recent discovery in Spain is shaking up what we know about Neanderthals. In the Prado Vargas cave in Burgos, researchers found 15 small marine fossils, an odd place to find seashells. Seemed like they'd been brought there, but why? Well, according to scientists from the University of Burgos and the University of Malaga, these fossils may have been collected just for the sake of collecting. As they put it, the fossils, with one exception, show no evidence of having been used as tools. Thus, their presence in the cave could be attributed to collecting activities, end quote. This is pretty cool, because it means Neanderthals may have been capable of more abstract thought, something we typically associate with modern humans. The researchers think the fossils could have been used for anything from decoration to bartering. It's possible they were even toys for children. What's key here is that there's no evidence of our direct ancestors being in the area at the same time. So this means Neanderthals were developing this behavior all on their own. The idea of collecting stuff, for a lack of a better word, fun, may have been a lot older than we thought, possibly dating back 39 to 54,000 years ago. As the researchers put it, these fossils can be understood as evidence of an artistic interest or an attraction or curiosity for the forms of nature, end quote. Just more proof that the Neanderthals were likely a lot more complex than we usually give them credit for. In a new study published in Communications Biology, paleontologist Pedro Macho and his team have revealed a brand new species of sauropod dinosaur called Quanxara pintiquinestra, found in Cuenca, Spain. This creature lived about 75 million years ago during the late Cretaceous, and it's one of the most complete sauropod skeletons ever found in Europe. The fossils were discovered during construction work for a high-speed train project, and Mako explains that the animal is part of a sauropod group with a name that I just can't even begin to pronounce, that was common in the northern hemisphere. The fossils show the creature had some distinct characteristics, especially in its tail vertebrae. And what's even cooler is that this may not be it. The site's preserved more sauropod skeletons, some may be new species which haven't been identified yet. In 2017, a 6-foot-long prehistoric catfish fossil was found buried in the sands of Egypt, a prehistoric creature that was unknown to science at the time. The catfish-like creature, now called Quaramautus hitanensis, lived about 37 million years ago. It was discovered by a team led by 26-year-old Sana El Said, a paleontologist studying fossils at Mansoura University. The catfish was found during a training trip for students. The fossil was discovered back in 2011, but it wasn't until later that specialized students could study it in more detail. The fossil is really well preserved, with parts of its skull, spine, and its fins still intact. Some of the bones, like the left side of the skull, are almost perfectly preserved. The fossil also has pieces like dorsal spines and vertebrae from the same fish. El Said's study points out that Quaramautus is the oldest and most complete marine catfish from the Paleogene period found in the area. What's also really interesting is that the catfish had traits no other African fish from the same time period has, which makes it a pretty unique find in the world of paleontology. Sticking with the Sahara Desert for a moment, let's talk about Wadi al-Hatan, also known as Whale Valley. The area is home to some of the most amazing fossils, like the one we just talked about. The place is like a time capsule, showing how whales evolved from land mammals into the sea creatures that we know today. Fossils of ancient whales like Basilosaurus and Dorudon have been found here, along with remains of sea cows, elephants, crocodiles, sea turtles, and sea snakes. What makes this site so incredible, aside from how many fossils there are, is how well preserved they are too. Some actually still have their stomach contents intact, so researchers know exactly what these creatures ate. One of the most fascinating discoveries is the remains of Archaeoceti, an ancient proto-whale that would have lived on both land and sea. These creatures lived millions of years ago and actually had legs. One fossil found in Whale Valley was about 69 feet long, and it still had toes and feet. This is huge because it shows that whales didn't start out as ocean animals. They lived on land and then transitioned to the sea. Fossils of massive triangular teeth measuring over 7 inches long have been found around the world, but in 2019, paleontologists combined these with vertebrae to fully reconstruct the monster that they came from, a Todus megalodon. This giant shark ruled the oceans from 23 to 3.6 million years ago and could grow up to 60 feet in length, making it the largest shark to ever live. Its estimated bite force of over 40,000 pounds was strong enough to snap whale bones like twigs. Fossilized whale skeletons have been found with perfect clean-edged bite marks that match megalodon teeth exactly, showing that this shark actively hunted early whales and dolphins. To put that into perspective, a single megalodon tooth was bigger than a human hand, and scientists believe it swallowed prey whole that were the size of today's great white sharks. The ocean wasn't just dangerous back then, it was a place where the biggest predators alive today would have been considered small fry. First discovered in the late 1800s in North America, Dimetrodon fossils revealed a predator that lived around 295 million years ago, long before dinosaurs evolved. At up to 15 feet long, with a mouth full of sharp, serrated teeth, Dimetrodon was built for slicing through flesh. Its most distinctive feature was the enormous sail on its back, formed from elongated spines connected by skin. Scientists think this sail may have helped regulate its body temperature, could have been used to intimidate rivals and prey. It looks like a dinosaur, but it was actually more closely related to mammals, showing that terrifying apex predators existed long before the so-called Age of Dinosaurs. What's unnerving is how common its fossils are. Dimetrodon wasn't a one-off monster, it was a widespread killer that ruled the Permian landscape millions of years before anything resembling a dinosaur ever showed up.
In the 19th century, miners in a county in California unearthed a fully formed human skull dated at over 5 million years old. The discovery was documented by Dr. J.D. Whitney, a respected geologist who published the find in official state reports. At the time, mainstream science dismissed it, claiming it must have been buried by accident in older material, but years later, re-examinations at the site found no evidence of disturbance in the surrounding sediment. That means the skull was likely deposited at the same time as the layer itself. If that's true, modern humans may have been around far earlier than anyone believed previously. In the 1980s, Dr. Dale Russell and his team made a discovery in Canada's high Arctic that left them stunned. What appeared to be a fossilized human finger encased in ancient rock. The fossil showed clear bone structure, joints, and even soft tissue impressions. CT scans revealed internal bone shapes matching those of a human finger. Here is the twist. The rock it was encased in is dated back 100 million years. That's deep in the Cretaceous period when dinosaurs still ruled the Earth. Scientists who examined the specimen were divided. Some believed it to be a misidentified marine creature. Others quietly admitted that the resemblance to a modern human finger was uncanny. In the 2000s, archaeologists excavating near Visoko, Bosnia, uncovered a tooth unlike they'd ever seen. It was a single human molar, measuring nearly 3 inches long, twice the size of a normal human tooth. The tooth was fossilized and found embedded in a sediment layer dating back thousands of years. There was no corresponding jawbone bone, but the sheer size of the molar suggested an individual well over 10 feet tall if scaled proportionately. While most scientists classified it as an unusually large but explainable anomaly, others saw it as potential evidence of a now extinct giant hominid species. It remains in private collection today, its origins still debated. In 1885, workers at an iron foundry in Wolfsegg, Austria, split open a lump of coal and discovered something remarkable inside: a perfectly shaped iron cube with machined edges. This so-called wolf's egg iron was analyzed by multiple labs and found to be made of nearly pure iron with no sulfur or phosphorus contamination, unlike typical meteorites. The coal surrounding it dated to roughly 60 million years ago. Some scientists dismissed it as a piece of modern mining equipment that somehow got embedded in the coal, but early records showed it was found during routine coal delivery with no mine nearby. Its shape and age make it one of the most famous out-of-place metal artifacts in the world. In 2008, miners in Ukraine's Donetsk region discovered a clear imprint of a wheel with spokes embedded in a limestone ceiling 300 feet underground. The formation was dated to approximately 300 million years ago, and what made it more intriguing was that the wheel shape was three-dimensional, suggesting something solid once pressed against the soft sediment before it hardened into stone. No actual wheel was found, it had long since decayed, but the imprint remained sharp and defined. Miners photographed it extensively before the site was sealed. While geologists tried to offer natural explanations, none really fit perfectly. The imprint looks eerily similar to wheels from early human civilization, except this was hundreds of millions of years too early. In the Ica province of Peru, thousands of carved stones have been unearthed over the decades. Many depict dinosaurs alongside humans, advanced surgery, and even flying machines. What makes these stones particularly strange is that several were found embedded in hardened sediment layers deep beneath the desert surface, making some of them genuine fossils rather than recent fakes. While many stones have been dismissed due to forgeries in the 1960s, a small percentage tested as geologically ancient, with patinas consistent with long-term burial. Among these are carvings of sauropods and humans interacting as if they coexisted. The mainstream view remains skeptical, but the fact that some stones are genuinely old keeps the debate alive. If even one of these is real, it completely rewrites prehistory. In 1958, amateur fossil hunter Francis Tully found something bizarre in a coal mine near Mason Creek, Illinois. What he uncovered would baffle paleontologists for decades. It was a soft-bodied creature with stalked eyes, a proboscis ending in a claw, and no obvious classification. Named the Tully monstrum gregarium, this animal shouldn't exist where it was found. The fossil dates back over 300 million years, but it doesn't fit neatly into any known group of vertebrates or invertebrates. Some experts think it's related to lampreys, others think it's its own branch of life. The creature's anatomy is so alien that even advanced imaging hasn't solved the mystery. It's a fossil that seems to belong to a timeline all its own. For over a century, paleontologists believed the coelacanth went extinct around 66 million years ago. But then, in 1938, a fisherman off the coast of South Africa pulled one out of the water alive. The fossil record clearly placed this fish in the age of dinosaurs. Its anatomy is ancient, with lobed fins believed to be an evolutionary bridge between fish and amphibians. Yet this creature never actually disappeared. The fossils didn't lie. These guys just outlived its extinction date, proving our fossil timeline isn't always the full story. Today, living specimens have been documented off the coasts of Africa and Indonesia, making it one of the strangest cases of extinct fossils that shouldn't exist. In 1908, archaeologists in southwestern France unearthed an almost complete Homo neanderthalensis skeleton. But what made the discovery strange wasn't just the fossil itself, it was how it was buried. The Neanderthal had been carefully placed in a shallow grave surrounded by tools and possible offerings. This kind of intentional burial was thought to be uniquely modern human behavior. The fossil, dated to around 60,000 years ago, suggesting Neanderthals practiced rituals far earlier than experts believed possible. This single skeleton forced anthropologists to rethink what human behavior actually means in evolutionary history. In 2005, paleontologist Mary Higby Schweitzer made a discovery that stunned the world. While examining a Tyrannosaurus rex femur from the Hell Creek Formation, she found flexible, soft tissue inside the bone. That shouldn't happen. Proteins and soft tissue degrade over time. Scientists didn't believe anything like that could survive more than 1 million years, let alone 68 million. But under the microscope, they found blood vessel structures and collagen fibers. The fossil was retested multiple times to rule out contamination. The results held. This meant that soft tissue preservation can occur under rare conditions, rewriting how we think about fossilization itself. In 2014, paleontologists discovered the fossil of a penguin so massive it would have stood taller than most humans. This bird lived about 37 million years ago and measured over 2 meters or 6.5 feet tall. What's strange isn't just the size. This species existed long before Antarctica became fully covered in ice. That suggests a very different, warmer environment where giant penguins thrived. The fossil doesn't fit the timeline of penguin evolution, which was thought to have favored smaller body sizes as climates cooled. Its existence forces scientists to reconsider the speed and direction of penguin evolution. For decades, scientists believed the earliest animals evolved about 600 million years ago. But in 2019, researchers uncovered sponge-like fossils in Newfoundland that were 890 million years old. These fossils, identified as possible remains of Porifera, pushed back the timeline of animal life by at least 300 million years. That means multicellular animals may have appeared long before the Cambrian explosion, challenging one of the core timelines of evolutionary history. And if sponge life was already thriving that early, it suggests complex ecosystems existed much earlier than anyone thought. In 2016, paleontologists examining amber from northern Myanmar discovered something extraordinary: a Coelurosaurus tail segment fully preserved in tree resin, complete with intact feathers. This fossil was dated to about 99 million years ago. The feathers weren't like modern bird feathers, but were far more primitive, showing an intermediate stage between dinosaurs and birds. What makes this so strange is the level of preservation. The fossil preserved soft tissues, keratin, and even pigmentation traces. It provided direct physical proof of feathered dinosaurs, not just impressions in rock. Before this, feathers that old were only inferred. Now they could be seen, layer by layer. In the 1990s, researchers in Nevada were examining limestone formations when they found something that made no sense at all. What looked like a perfect fossilized human handprint pressed into solid rock dated to around 250 million years ago. The print wasn't just a vague outline. It showed finger impressions, a defined palm, and the kind of pressure pattern you'd expect from a real hand pushing into soft material. The rock layer was from the Permian period, long before dinosaurs, let alone humans. Some claimed it was proof of intelligent life existing far earlier than history allows. Others argued it could be a freak erosion pattern. But side-by-side comparisons with actual hand impressions made in clay were eerily similar. Whatever made that mark left behind a mystery that geologists still argue about to this day. In 1851, miners in Dorchester, Massachusetts, blasted through solid rock about 15 feet underground and found something impossible: a bell-shaped metallic vessel decorated with silver inlays, split perfectly in two. The kicker is that the rock around it was pre-Cambrian conglomerate, estimated to be over 500 million years old. The artifact itself was clearly manufactured, not a product of erosion or natural forces. It measured about 4.5 inches high, with an intricate floral pattern carved around the sides. Skeptics claim the object may have somehow worked its way into a fissure in the rock at a later time, but no evidence of a fissure was ever documented. To many, the Dorchester vessel is one of the most compelling examples of an out-of-place artifact ever recorded. In the early 1980s, a man claimed to have stumbled upon a hidden cave system in Illinois filled with stone tablets bearing inscriptions in multiple ancient languages, including Egyptian and Phoenician. What really shocked researchers was the fact that some of these carved tablets were fused into fossilized limestone that dated back millions of years. The site became infamous, sparking debate among archaeologists and fringe theorists. Was it a hoax or a genuine anomaly? Some of the pieces were examined and found to be embedded in hardened sediment that would have taken geological time to form. No one has ever found the exact location of the cave again, but dozens of these strange fossil-embedded artifacts still circulate among researchers, adding fuel to one of the Midwest's strangest mysteries. In 1891, a woman in Morrisonville, Illinois, cracked open a lump of coal and found a metallic chain embedded inside. But that wasn't the only strange coal discovery from that era. Around the same time, miners in West Virginia found a small, intricately carved doll inside a coal seam over 300 million years old. The doll had delicate facial features and what looked like clothing folds. Coal is ancient, formed from planet material compressed over eons. So how did a man-made object end up inside it? Some scientists suggested it may have been modern contamination, but the surrounding coal was solid and unbroken before being opened. If authentic, it points to something intelligent existing long before our recorded history began, or time travelers. I know a lot of you were saying that in the comments of part 1, so maybe it was time travelers. In 2008, fossil hunters in Australia uncovered an almost complete skeleton of a Diprotodon optatum, an extinct giant wombat-like marsupial. But this wasn't just a big wombat, it was the size of a rhinoceros, weighing nearly 3 tons. The fossil was dated to just 50,000 years ago, meaning these massive creatures lived at the same time as early humans in Australia. Their survival until relatively recently shocked scientists who thought such megafauna had vanished much earlier. This discovery forced a rewrite of the timeline for human megafauna interaction on the continent. For a long time, the narrative was simple. Dinosaurs ruled the earth, and mammals were tiny mouse-like creatures scurrying underfoot. But a fossil found in China turned that idea on its head. Paleontologists discovered a nearly complete skeleton of a Repenomamus giganticus, a mammal the size of a badger. Inside its stomach cavity, the remains of a young dinosaur. This fossil proved that some mammals were not only large, but were preying on dinosaurs during the Cretaceous. That shattered a long-held assumption about mammal-dinosaur interactions and forced a re-evaluation of their ecological roles. One of the most significant fossil finds in modern anthropology happened in Georgia, where scientists uncovered 5 ancient human skulls and multiple skeletons dated to 1.8 million years ago. What makes this strange is how modern-looking some of the features were. These fossils represented Homo erectus, but they displayed a mix of traits from multiple hominin species. This suggested that early humans might not have evolved as neatly in stages as once thought. Instead, different species may have been part of a single, diverse lineage that spread much earlier than expected. These fossils completely reshaped our timeline of human migration out of Africa.
In Illinois, there's a place called Mazon Creek, which is home to some very odd fossils. People first started finding them during coal mining back in the 1800s, but it wasn't until the 50s that one fossil really caught some attention. A paleontologist named Francis Tully found this strange soft-bodied creature locked inside something called a mineral nodule, which is basically a small rock that forms around an object almost like a fossil. This creature, later named Tullimonstrum gregarium, or Tully's monster, had a long snout with pincers, eyes on stalks, a segmented body, and a finned tail. A very strange looking creature. It was only a few inches long and probably lived in shallow tropical seas, but till this day no one has been able to figure out what this thing actually is, or rather was. Even though there are lots of these fossils, it doesn't match anything else that we know, either from the past or present. Over 60 years of research and scientists still don't know for sure, and what I mean by that is they just can't place the thing in any particular category. Some believe it could be a relative of squids, but nobody can say for sure. The Denisovans were an archaic species of human that we didn't even know existed until just over a decade ago. The first clue came in 2008 when a finger bone was found in Denisova Cave in Siberia. In 2010, scientists managed to extract DNA from it, and it turned out to belong to a totally new species, now called the Denisovans. These humans lived around 300,000 to 50,000 years ago, at the same time as Neanderthals and early modern humans. They only had a few bones and teeth to go on, but researchers have been able to analyze their DNA, and they've found some interesting things. Turns out, Denisovans didn't just coexist with Neanderthals, they interbred with them. In the same cave where the Denisovan bones were found, they also discovered the remains of a creature that wasn't fully Neanderthal or fully Denisovan. This was a first-generation hybrid between the two, which scientists named Denny. Denny is the first known direct offspring from two different species of early human, and to this day, no one's found anything like it. Well, that is until this next discovery, but it is slightly different. Just in 2024, scientists named a new human species, Homo juliensis, which roughly translates to big head people. The new species was identified from fossils found in China that have a mix of traits from Neanderthals, modern humans, and Denisovans. It's based on skulls from around 220,000 to 100,000 years ago, found at sites in northern and central China. The skulls of this species are large and wide with thick bones similar to Neanderthals, but they also have some similarities to modern humans. Researchers Christopher Bay and Xiuqi Wu, who led the study, said that the increasing number of fossils in East Asia means that we need new categories for these ancient humans. Just generally calling these fossils archaic Homo isn't specific enough. These early humans probably weren't isolated, and Bay and Wu think they could have been the result of interbreeding between different early species, including Neanderthals, which supports the idea that interbreeding was a huge part of human evolution. Homo juliensis isn't widely accepted yet, but a lot of experts are starting to warm up to the idea. As paleontologist John Hawkes put it, naming new species helps us better communicate about ancient human evolution, and in this case, the name could help clear up some of the confusion surrounding fossils from this part of the world. In 2021, scientists announced the discovery of a totally new dinosaur species found in Greenland, which they named Isi Senek. This creature would have lived around 214 million years ago during the late Triassic period. Now, these fossils were actually discovered back in 1994, but at that time they thought it was a Plateosaurus. But after a closer look, researchers realized these bones were something else entirely. A study led by Victor Bakari used advanced scans to get a better idea of what the skulls really looked like. Turns out, this thing was different from anything seen in other species. According to Bakari, the proportions of the bones were a dead giveaway that these skulls came from a new, previously unknown species. You see, Senek wasn't a massive beast like some of the more well-known dinosaurs. It was a medium-sized, two-legged herbivore with a long neck. In 1994, scientists got called in to check out a strange skeleton that had been uncovered on Santa Rosa Island in California. Turns out they found a nearly complete pygmy mammoth, which was a tiny version of the mammoth that lived on the Channel Islands during the late Pleistocene. These mammoths were way smaller than the giant mammoths that we usually think of. They only stood about 5 to maybe 6 feet tall, sometimes smaller, so not nearly as intimidating as their larger relatives. They managed to recover about 90% of the skeleton, pretty rare for fossil finds. The only parts missing were a foot, a tusk, and a couple of vertebrae. Now, why are these mammoths smaller? Well, they lived on a small island, and because of a phenomenon called island dwarfism, where some animals on islands seem to grow smaller than creatures on the mainland, these mammoths developed to be way smaller over time. Mammoth remains had been found on the Channel Islands as far back as the 1800s, but this discovery was special because it was the first nearly complete specimen. And after this find, scientists started digging up even more mammoth remains on the island, but this one's still the most intact we've got. In January of 2024, a grad student named Kyle Atkins Weltman uncovered a brand new dinosaur species species dubbed Ionophron infernalis, aka the chicken from hell. This strange creature roamed Earth about 65 million years ago in the late Cretaceous. This hell chicken was a member of the Oviraptorosaur group, which means it had a beak, but this species was a lot smaller than its relatives. Similar dinosaurs could weigh up to 660 pounds, but these guys came in at just 170 pounds. Its ankle bones were especially weird. They were fused to the tibia. This could have made the dinosaur much better at running, allowing it to handle stress while moving quickly. It also lived around the same time as other dinosaurs that didn't survive the asteroid impact, but these hell chickens, they seem to have lived long after. As Weltman said, this group seemed to have maintained stability and diversity, whereas other groups suffered. My guess is they were omnivores and very versatile, switching food sources to survive. In 2013, scientists in Patagonia discovered one of the most extraordinary fossil sites ever found, a massive graveyard filled with dozens of juvenile Elasmosaurid plesiosaurs. These long-necked marine reptiles lived about 85 million years ago, and adults could grow over 40 feet long. The sheer number of juveniles suggests that these creatures returned to shallow lagoons to breed, a lot like modern whales, using protected areas for their young to grow safely. They are famous for their impossibly long necks, sometimes over 20 feet, which allow them to strike at fish and cephalopods from unexpected angles, while keeping their bodies hidden under the water. Their slender, needle-like teeth were perfect for gripping slippery prey, and they probably used stealth and speed rather than brute force in order to hunt. Fossils from the site show different growth stages, offering rare insight into the life cycle of these giant animals. In 2016, fossil remains off the coast of Norway revealed a marine predator so terrifying it earned the nickname Predator X. And yeah, it has a hard to pronounce scientific name as well, but I have embarrassed myself enough trying to pronounce these words already. Predator X, perfectly fine name, I'm just gonna stick with that. Predator X lived around 150 million years ago, measured over 40 feet long, and had a jaw capable of delivering a bite force 4 times stronger than a T-Rex. Its skull fragments show banana-sized teeth designed to rip through the flesh of massive prey, from other marine reptiles to giant fish. Paleontologists believe this predator could swim at high speeds, making it a deadly ambush hunter, capable of attacking animals nearly as large as itself. Based on its flippers, it could probably launch sudden explosive strikes, while its streamlined body helped it glide quietly through the water. Predator X was an apex predator, dominating the seas, and it probably didn't have a whole lot of competition with other creatures in its environment. In 2003, paleontologists in Argentina unearthed the skull of Kalenkin, a genus of terror bird, actually the largest terror bird ever discovered. Standing up to 10 feet tall, this flightless predator roamed South America roughly 15 million years ago, long after the dinosaurs had disappeared. Its hooked beak, nearly 2 feet long, could deliver killing blows strong enough to pierce bones or crush the skulls of its prey. It could sprint at speeds up to 40 miles per hour, relying on speed, agility, and precision rather than just size alone. Terror birds filled the role of apex predators in their ecosystems, hunting mammals and reptiles that might otherwise have gone unchallenged. Their long legs allowed them to chase down prey across open plains, while their sharp talons helped pin struggling animals. Kalenkin proves that you don't really need massive teeth or claws to be a top predator. Speed, power, and a lethal beak, it could dominate entire landscapes. In 2007, scientists working on a remote Arctic island discovered fossils of this thing, which was a massive amphibian that lived around 270 million years ago, measuring roughly 26 feet long, with a skull over 5 feet in length. It looked like a modern crocodile, but was deadlier. Its jaws were lined with these sharp, pointed teeth capable of catching and swallowing large prey whole. It lived in swamps and rivers, waiting for prey to swim too close and then would ambush them. This was the ultimate river monster of its time. Its elongated body, the strong tail, the massive head, it allowed it to dominate prehistoric wetlands, preying on anything that entered its territory. And in 2014, paleontologists in Patagonia dug up fossils of Patagotitan majorum, the largest dinosaur ever discovered. This massive herbivore measured about 122 feet long and weighed around 70 tons. Leg bones were taller than a person, and vertebrae. They were the size of sofas. Walking near one of these things would have been like standing next to a moving skyscraper. Despite being a herbivore, Patagotitan shaped its environment just by existing. Fossilized bones show it had strong limb muscles and a massive tail, which may have been used for balance or defense against predators. Its long neck allowed it to reach the tops of trees, consuming huge amounts of leaves and plants on a daily basis. These things traveled in herds too, and they probably altered the landscape, flattening vegetation and opening up spaces for smaller animals. Us modern humans can barely imagine something like this gigantic roaming around. Seeing one in motion would have been incredible, but terrifying. Back in 1880, fossilized wings discovered in France shocked paleontologists. They belonged to Meganeura, an insect from 300 million years ago, with a wingspan of more than 2.5 feet. This dragonfly-like predator thrived in a world with much higher oxygen levels, which allowed insects to grow to these monstrous sizes. Fossil evidence showed it was a skilled hunter, swooping through the skies to grab other insects and small amphibians with its spiny legs before tearing into them with its jaws. Modern dragonflies are already relentless hunters with nearly perfect vision and the ability to catch prey mid-air. Just stretch that same design to the size of a hawk. Meganeura turned the skies into a hunting ground where even small vertebrates were not safe. In the 1920s, paleontologists in Queensland unearthed fossils of Kronosaurus, a marine reptile that lived during the Cretaceous period. This monster stretched nearly 40 feet long and had a skull over 9 feet in length. Its teeth were interlocking and cone-shaped, built perfectly for gripping and ripping its prey apart. Fossil evidence even shows that Kronosaurus fed on other giant marine reptiles, proving it was at the top of the food chain. Its short neck and massive jaw gave it a bulldog-like appearance, built for raw power rather than speed. Scientists also discovered stomach contents that included pieces of turtles and plesiosaurs, proof it didn't just hunt fish but actively devoured other huge predators. In the 1800s, fossil hunters in England pieced together fragments of a jaw so massive it baffled them. It turned out to be from Leadscythus, a fish that swam in the Jurassic Seas 165 million years ago. At lengths of over 50 feet, it was one of the largest fish ever discovered. Unlike a lot of other terrifying fossils, this one was a gentle giant. It used its gill rakes to filter plankton, much like today's whale sharks, but peaceful or not, its presence would have been overwhelming. This was a fish longer than most boats of its era, gliding through waters filled with predators. Its fossils are scattered across Europe, which suggests it wasn't rare at all, but a regular part of the ancient seas. In the 1920s, explorers in Mongolia uncovered a skull nearly 3 feet long, belonging to this animal here that I can't even begin to pronounce. But the bizarre mammal lived 45 million years ago, was likely the largest land predator of its time. At nearly 13 feet long, standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder, it resembled a cross between a wolf, a pig, and a bear. That's a terrifying combination. Its skull and teeth suggest it was capable of cracking bones with powerful jaws, making it a formidable scavenger or hunter. While paleontologists still debate what its full body looked like, the skull alone proves it was a terrifying thing. Even without a full skeleton, the evidence points to an animal that could crush through carcasses the way hyenas do today's, except on a scale big enough to rival a horse. Fossils discovered in Ohio and other parts of the world revealed the terrifying Dunkleosteus, a predator that lived 360 million years ago. 30 feet long, was covered in armored plates, and had jaws unlike anything alive today. Instead of teeth, it had bony plates that slammed together like a guillotine blade, slicing through prey with brutal efficiency. Its bite was so strong it could puncture armor and crush bones in seconds. Fossils show that this animal swallowed prey whole, digesting even the hardest bones. One fossilized specimen was actually found with the remains of partially digested fish still inside it, proof that this armored predator ate fast and in massive gulps, reducing its prey to little more than scraps. In the 1700s, paleontologists in Texas discovered fossils of this animal here, the largest flying creature ever found, with a wingspan of over 36 feet. It was the size of a small plane. On land, it stood as tall as a giraffe, towering over many of the dinosaurs it shared the world with. Fossil evidence suggests it hunted like a stork, stalking prey like small dinosaurs and then snatching them up in its long, toothless beak. Launching into the air using its powerful limbs, it could glide for miles, dominating the sky in the late Cretaceous. Its presence alone would have been terrifying, a predator capable of moving silently on land, then taking to the air to rule entire ecosystem. In 2003, archaeologists came across a mysterious mummified skeleton in Chile's Atacama Desert. At first, the thing looked to be human, but the more they looked at it, the more they realized how strange it really was. It was so strange, they actually started to wonder if the skeleton had ever belonged to a human at all. It had 10 ribs instead of 12, these extra large eye sockets, and a strangely elongated skull that ended in a point. And the thing was just really small. When the story of the find came out in the news, the big headline was that they may have found an alien skeleton. The thing was even featured in a 2013 UFO documentary. For years, UFO buffs pushed the idea that this was proof of extraterrestrial life, but in 2018, DNA testing shattered those theories. The results showed the skeleton was 100% human, belonging to a young female who'd lived about 500 years before. What made her so different was a genetic mutation that caused abnormal bone development, including the shape of her skull. Next up, we have an extinct species that became known as the devil frog. The devil frog, or if you want to use the scientific term, which I don't, Bill's buffo, is one of the most jaw-dropping frog fossils ever discovered. Found in Madagascar, this 70 million year old giant would have weighed around 10 pounds and could grow as tall as 41 centimeters, roughly 16 inches. Just imagine how far that frog could leap. Or don't, if you value a good night's sleep. The fossil was first discovered in 1993 by David W. Krause and his team, and over the years, scientists have pieced together parts of its skeleton, including a nearly complete skull. Not only were these frogs big, they were also predators. With its massive mouth, it likely fed on pretty big prey. It could have snacked on juvenile dinosaurs, even. And what's crazier is the force behind this frog's bite. Based on studies of its skull, researchers estimate that the bite force of a large devil frog could range from 500 to 2,200 newtons, which is about 110 to 490 pounds of force. For comparison, that's stronger than some modern-day predators.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the dinosaur tail. This next discovery came as a huge surprise to many. So in 2015, a researcher in Beijing was checking out an amber market when he came across something weird encased in amber. The people selling it said they dug it out of a mine and were selling it so someone could make it into jewelry. Well, when he took it home to analyze it, it was found to be a 99 million year old dinosaur tail. Imagine how much money they probably could have gotten for that. But that's not all. The tail was completely covered in feathers, meaning that dinosaurs may have been completely covered in feathers themselves. Kind of makes them look less terrifying though. Now to me they just look like giant fluffy birds. Making our way down the list at number 4, we have the 4-legged snake. Yeah, you heard me correctly on this one. In 2015, a fossil displaying a snake with 4 legs was found in Brazil. Named Tetrapodophis amplectus, it's said to have been on Earth 120 million years ago. But its legs were not used for locomotion. This creature probably still slithered around just like a snake. Instead, the legs were used to grab its victims or were used when mating. But because of this discovery, it's made scientists rethink the evolution of snakes. In our 3rd spot, we have the Nevada giants. In 1911, miners were digging around in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, when they came across hundreds of bones. Upon analyzing them, they found that they belonged to people that were nearly 10 feet tall. Later, they found a fossilized handprint that was way bigger than a human handprint. What's creepy is that Tales of the Land say that there used to be a race of red-haired giants that lived in Nevada for thousands of years before being chased out. Obviously, it was thought to just be a legend, but with this discovery, it seems like maybe there really were giants that used to roam the area. In our our second spot, we have the Tully monster. Back in 1958, fossil hunter Francis Tully came across a 300-million-year-old fossil in a coal mining pit in northern Illinois. Turns out that the fossil belonged to a creature that is pretty terrifying. They named it the Tully monstrum, also known as the Tully monster for people who have difficulty pronouncing things. So the Tully monster is an aquatic creature with a big gut, long skinny neck, and a claw for its mouth. Its eyes protrude out of its body on stalks. It's a pretty creepy looking creature, that's for sure. But still, scientists can't figure out whether it's a vertebrate, if it has a backbone like mammals, birds, fish, etc., or an invertebrate. It doesn't have a backbone like insects and octopuses. So for now, this creature remains somewhat mysterious. I mean, I'm just glad that it went extinct. I mean, I hope it has. Who knows? Oceans are a mystery. And in our number one spot, we have the devil frog. After numerous expeditions in Madagascar, a team of researchers discovered the fossils and bones of what is said to be the largest frog to ever exist. This frog was named Beelzebufo and was said to have been around 68 million years ago. This frog isn't like any tiny little ordinary innocent frog. No, they were massive with a wide mouth and big powerful jaws. In fact, it's said that they would eat small dinosaurs. Yes, a frog would eat dinosaurs. Like, what kind of world do we live in? As a result, it has been named the devil frog or the giant fossil frog from hell. Coming in at 16 inches and 10 pounds, this frog is definitely the largest frog to ever exist.
A bizarre and mysterious set of skeletal remains washed ashore on an Australian beach a couple years ago, and it left a lot of people wondering. The creature's body, found in Keppel Sands, Queensland, didn't seem to resemble any known creature. Bobby Lee Oates, who discovered the remains, described it as, quote, exactly like a mermaid shape, with a human-like skull attached to a long serpentine body. She was shocked by the sight, especially the skull, which she said, quote, looked to be in the shape of a human's. The remains were about 6 feet long, with an elongated jawline and what seemed like hair, though it had mostly decomposed. Oates also mentioned that the creature appeared to have some kind of tail or limb, adding to the strange, almost mythical appearance. Marine experts like Rob DeVille, a project manager at the Zoological Society of London, took a look at the photos, saying, definitely looks like a small cetacean to me, end quote. He didn't have enough details about local species, but he seemed pretty sure it was some kind of marine mammal, not a mythical sea creature, unfortunately. Still, they haven't definitively identified the thing, so there's still some room for wishful thinking. A recent discovery has found that this bizarre shark lived about 93 million years ago, and it's unlike anything we've seen before. Fossils of the species called Aquilolamna malarcae, or the eagle shark, were found in Mexico. What made this creature so unusual were its wing-like pectoral fins, which made the shark almost look like a modern-day manta ray. But these things lived long before those rays ever existed. According to Romain Vullo, the lead researcher, one of the most striking features of the creature is that it has very long, slender pectoral fins. These fins gave the shark a very unique look, making it wider than long, with a wingspan of about 6.2 feet, even though its body was only 5.4 feet in length. These sharks wouldn't have been like today's fast predators. Instead, they probably swam slowly, filtering plankton from the water, similar to how manta rays do today. The eagle shark had a short head, very wide mouth, and a body that was built for slow swimming, probably using those long fins for stability or maybe even flapping them to move forward. The lack of any preserved teeth makes it hard to pin down exactly what this shark was, but they were pretty confident that it was a filter feeder. Next up, we have Mona Lisa. And no, I'm not talking about the painting. I'm talking about a supposed mummified alien astronauts discovered on the moon, and it all centers around a secretive mission called Apollo 20. According to the story, Apollo 20 was a top-secret mission NASA conducted in the mid to late 70s after the official Apollo program ended. The theory claims the mission went to the moon and found some stuff, including an alien craft. But the most outlandish part Well, supposedly they found a mummified alien girl with 6 fingers, a bump right in the middle of her forehead, and oversized eyes. According to the conspiracy, NASA kept this discovery under wraps and the whole mission was covered up. But a man named William Rutledge, who claims to be a retired astronaut, came out saying that he was part of the Apollo 20 crew and even uploaded a video in 2007 showing what he said was footage of the alien body. The government, of course, has always denied the story, and there's no solid proof that Apollo 20 ever actually happened. Still, fans of the theory point to the Mona Lisa as proof that we're not alone and that NASA's just hiding the truth. Do you like millipedes? Has anyone on planet Earth ever answered yes to that question? I'd like to say no, but realistically, there's probably like 4 people who do. Well, for the rest of us, this image here probably makes you gag. Yes, this is a recreation of a giant millipede that once roamed the Earth. Imagine a millipede the size of a car crawling across the beach. That's what scientists found in England in 2021. Well, the fossilized remains anyway. Thank God they didn't find an actual one. The thing would have been over 8 feet long, weighing in at about 110 pounds. These massive creatures, known as Arthropleura, lived about 100 million years ago, long before dinosaurs were walking the Earth. The fossil was discovered by chance at Howick Bay, Northumberland. Scientists were there to study rocks when they spotted a boulder that had split open, revealing the millipede fossil inside. The find was only the 3rd of its kind and the first in England. While these giant millipedes mostly ate plants, they were big enough to munch on small animals too. As for why they were so big, it was probably because of the higher oxygen levels in the atmosphere during their time, which allowed creatures like this monstrosity to grow to horrifying sizes. In August of 2022, while walking along Cape Egmont Beach on Prince Edward Island, Lisa Cormier found something unusual. At first, she thought it was just a tree root sticking out of the sand, but when she got closer, she realized it was actually a rib cage, a spine, and a skull. After snapping some photos, she sent them to fossil experts, who quickly showed up to investigate. The scientists confirmed that the bones came from a reptile that lived nearly 300 million years ago during the Carboniferous period, so this discovery is actually older than dinosaur fossils. Though the bones are quite well preserved, no one is exactly sure which species they belong to yet. It's even possible that this fossil could belong to a completely new species. As of now, the fossil is being studied in a paleontology lab, and it'll probably help us learn more about the creatures who were roaming around long before dinosaurs walked the Earth. In 2017, while overseeing construction on his property in Portugal, a man noticed bone fragments sticking out of the ground. He contacted local scientists, and what followed was an excavation that stretched over several years. By 2022, researchers confirmed the bones belonged to a massive 82-foot-long sauropod from around 160 million years ago. So far, they've uncovered vertebrae and ribs, with each rib measuring nearly 10 feet long, making them the largest sauropod ribs ever found in Europe. As of the last update, the excavation is still ongoing.
In the early 1980s, miners in a region of South Africa uncovered small metallic spheres embedded into rock dated over 3 billion years old. These Klerksdorp spheres were perfectly round, with grooves carved neatly around their centers, something you'd expect from precision tools, not from an ancient planet that supposedly had no intelligent life. Geologists analyzed them, expecting a natural explanation, but that only deepened the mystery. Some were made of nickel-steel alloy that doesn't occur naturally in that composition. Even stranger, they were found in pyrophyllite rock, which itself is billions of years old. Some scientists argue they're natural concretions formed under unique pressure conditions, but skeptics say their symmetry and metallic makeup look manufactured. If that's true, it would mean intelligent beings, or some unknown process, existed on Earth long before humanity did. In 1968, a man named William J. Meister went fossil hunting near Antelope Springs, Utah. He cracked open a slab of Cambrian rock and froze. Inside was what looked like the print of a human sandal, complete with a crushed trilobite fossil embedded in the heel. Here's the problem. Trilobites lived 500 million years ago, long before humans existed. The rock itself dated to the same period. The print looked convincing. Heel, arch, even toe impressions. Creationists pointed to it as proof that humans lived with ancient sea life. Scientists, on the other hand, called it a coincidental erosion pattern. Still, the shape, depth, and placement of the trilobite under what looked like a shoe print were uncanny. Whether it's a hoax, coincidence, or something genuinely unexplainable, the Meister print remains one of the strangest fossil mysteries in North America. In 1936, a couple hiking near London, Texas, found a hammer partially embedded in rock that shouldn't even exist in the same era as humans. The rock surrounding it was dated around 100 million years old. The hammer's handle was partially fossilized, while the metal head was unusually pure, over 96% iron with traces of chlorine and sulfur, a purity level higher than what modern smelting techniques typically achieve without special equipment. Scientists later determined that the rock formation might have solidified around the hammer at a later date, but that explanation doesn't fully solve it. How did a clearly human-made tool end up sealed inside ancient rock? Some suggest it's evidence of lost civilizations. Others call it a geological fluke. Either way, the London hammer shouldn't exist in our timeline. In the late 1800s, near Castenedolo, Italy, a worker discovered a fully modern human skull buried in Pliocene strata, sediments dating roughly 3 to 4 million years old. Archaeologists at the time were stunned. If the dating was accurate, that meant anatomically, modern humans existed millions of years before Homo sapiens were supposed to evolve. Scientists initially dismissed it, suggesting the skull somehow slipped into older layers through cracks or animal burrows, but subsequent excavations revealed more human bones in the same ancient layer. Modern analysis are rare because the specimens vanished from public view for decades, but still, if authentic, it would rewrite human evolution entirely. This skull remains one of archaeology's most inconvenient discoveries. In 1971, miners in Utah's Copper Canyon stumbled upon something shocking. Fully human skeletons buried in the same strata as dinosaur fossils. Nicknamed the Malachite Man, the skeletons had greenish bones from copper deposits and were found 40 feet deep in Cretaceous sandstone, estimated at 65 million years old. Creationists hailed it as evidence humans coexisted with dinosaurs. Scientists countered that the bones had simply fallen into older fissures in the rock and were later covered by mineral deposits. Still, the discovery was never fully explained, and carbon dating was inconclusive due to the copper contamination. Whether the skulls were misplaced or misdated, they sit uneasily with the established fossil record.
In 2007, miners in a quarry in Germany came across a claw that immediately caught scientists' attention, measured over 18 inches long. That claw belonged to this creature, whose name I can't pronounce. It was a sea scorpion that lived around 390 million years ago, making it the largest arthropod ever discovered. And researchers reconstructed the full creature based on claw size. They estimated it would have stretched over 8 feet from head to tail. These were apex predators of their rivers and coastal waters. Their massive spiked limbs were perfectly designed to snatch fish, smaller arthropods, and maybe even early amphibians venturing near the shoreline. Fossil evidence from related species of sea scorpions shows they could walk along riverbeds and swim in bursts of speed, using their tails for maneuvering, which would have made them formidable hunters. Pretty freaky. I mean, imagine seeing a scorpion the size of a kayak gliding towards you. In 2010, paleontologists in Kansas made a remarkable discovery. While examining a 70 million year old fossil, a giant shark skeleton with massive bite marks, at first they assumed another shark had done the damage, but the bite patterns didn't match any shark known from the fossil record. Instead, it matched the jaws of Mosasaurus hoffmanni, a marine reptile over 50 feet long, sometimes called the sea T-Rex. This predator had cone-shaped teeth perfect for crushing bone and could swim fast enough to ambush prey in both deep and shallow water. The fossil evidence shows a clean sever through the shark's midsection, proving that this animal wasn't scavenging, it was hunting actively. Living in the late Cretaceous, these giants dominated seas that were teeming with fish, marine reptiles, and mosasaurs. Their powerful jaws and muscular bodies made them the ultimate ambush predators of the time. Seeing one of these creatures in the water would have been terrifying. In the early 1900s, miners in Idaho discovered a fossil unlike anything scientists had ever seen, a spiral of teeth that looked like a circular saw. For decades, researchers debated what that it really was, with some thinking it was part of the stomach or gills of a fish. Eventually, it was reconstructed as the jaw of Helicoprion, a shark-like predator that lived around 270 million years ago. A spiral of teeth sat in the lower jaw and functioned like a conveyor belt. It would pull prey deeper with each bite. Its teeth formed a spinning trap. Once the prey was in the grip of the Helicoprion, escape would have been nearly impossible. Fossils suggest it could grow up to 20 feet long, with a body streamlined for chasing prey in open waters. Its saw-like jaw wasn't just for display, it was a precision hunting tool, making it one of the most unusual and terrifying predators of the Paleozoic. In 2014, researchers exploring Tunisia's Sahara Desert uncovered fossils of Macumosaurus rex, the largest marine crocodile ever recorded. This predator measured over 30 feet long, with a skull more than 5 feet wide. Now, unlike modern crocodiles, its teeth were thick and blunt, built to crush shells of turtles and armored marine reptiles. It lived around 130 million years ago in shallow coastal waters, ambushing prey from below, a lot like modern crocodile, but far bigger and deadlier. Fossil evidence shows its robust skeleton could withstand enormous bite forces, and its tail probably allowed it to swim with bursts of speed to capture its fast-moving prey. With armor-crushing jaws and just the sheer size, Macumosaurus rex would have been nearly unstoppable, a true apex predator in its ecosystem. In 2018, paleontologists in Utah uncovered nearly complete skeletons of Utahraptor, a predator that makes the velociraptor from Jurassic Park look tiny. This dinosaur reached 23 feet long and weighed nearly a ton, with sickle-shaped claws over 9 inches long, built to slice through prey with a single strike. Fossils suggest these raptors may have hunted in packs, targeting animals much larger than themselves, relying on intelligence, speed, and powerful weaponry. Its teeth were serrated and sharp, ideal for tearing flesh. Its muscular legs allowed it to sprint quickly to ambush its prey. Living during the early Cretaceous in what is now Utah, it dominated the landscape as one of the top predators. Utahraptor could stalk you quietly, then strike with precision. Its combination of size, the claws, the hunting strategy, it makes it one of the most dangerous land predators ever discovered.
Near Glen Rose, Texas, the Paluxy Riverbed is famous for its preserved dinosaur tracks. But what really caught attention were a series of human-like footprints running alongside them. The prints were large, detailed, and appeared to stride parallel to 3-toed dinosaur tracks. If genuine, it would mean humans walked with dinosaurs, something mainstream science says is impossible by 100 million years. Researchers from the 1930s and the 1980s documented and cast several of these prints. Some were later dismissed as erosional features or carved hoaxes, but not all. Even Dr. Roland Bird from the American Museum of Natural History inspected them in the 1940s and admitted some, quote, appeared disturbingly human. Today, most of the prints have eroded or been vandalized, but old photos and molds keep the debate alive. In 1998, a group of Russian scientists found what looked like a metal screw embedded inside a piece of limestone in the Kaluga region. X-ray analysis revealed the object was shaped exactly like a modern screw, about 1 inch long, and appeared to have threading wrapped perfectly around its body. The limestone, however, dated back 300 million years from the Paleozoic era. Some claimed it was proof of ancient advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial machinery buried in Earth's crust. Skeptics suggest it was a sea crinoid, a marine organism that fossilizes with a spiral pattern resembling a screw, but microscopic tests showed the threads were too uniform to be organic. To this day, this screw remains a physical artifact in Russian archives, fueling theories about prehistoric technology. In 1978, paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey discovered a trail of footprints preserved in volcanic ash in Laetoli, Tanzania. At first glance, they looked perfectly human: arched feet, aligned toes, and even a distinct heel-toe walk. The layer of ash was dated to 3.6 million years ago, long before Homo sapiens. Scientists later attributed the prints to Australopithecus afarensis, an early human ancestor, but not everyone agreed. The prints were so similar to modern humans that some researchers questioned whether our evolutionary timeline was off. If our ancestors were already walking upright, like us, that long ago, it means bipedalism and possibly intelligence developed far earlier than anyone thought. In the early 20th century, a limestone slab discovered in Glen Rose, Texas, appeared to contain a perfect fossilized human handprint. The print was complete with finger segments, thumb, and palm lines pressed into what was once soft clay. The rock itself dated to roughly 110 million years ago during the mid-Cretaceous period. Photographs and plaster casts of the print exist, but the original slab has long since disappeared, leading to accusations of a hoax. However, several reputable researchers examined it before it vanished and swore it was genuine. If it truly was a human hand fossilized beside dinosaur prints, it would be one of the most extraordinary finds in paleontological history. A lesser-known discovery from the same Utah region as the Meister print came to light years later. A geologist named Dr. Clifford Burdick found what appeared to be another human shoe print, but this time much deeper and more defined. The rock was Cambrian, again over 500 million years old. This print showed a smaller foot, almost childlike, and like the Meister sample, it was partially fossilized in a way consistent with pressure on soft mud. It reignited the debate about out-of-place fossils, objects and fossils that defy the accepted geological timeline. To this day, no one has been able to definitively prove these prints are natural formations, but they've also never been able to conclusively debunk either. If both prints are real, it would mean something human, or human-like, walked Earth long before life as we know it evolved.
In 2009, scientists in a Colombian coal mine uncovered fossilized vertebrae so massive that at first they assumed they belonged to a crocodile. But when more pieces were studied, they realized this was something even more terrifying. The bones were from Titanoboa cerrajonensis, the largest snake ever discovered, stretching over 42 feet long and weighing more than a ton. Titanoboa lived about 60 million years ago in the hot, dense jungles after the dinosaurs went extinct. Fossil evidence shows it was so powerful that it regularly hunted crocodiles and giant turtles, coiling around them and crushing them before swallowing them whole. A snake that size would have turned entire swamps into its hunting ground, where nothing could escape once it decided to strike. In 2021, researchers in northern England found a fossil segment on a rocky beach that revealed something almost impossible to believe. It belonged to Arthroplera, an ancient millipede that lived 300 million years ago and could reach up to 9 feet long. This insect-like monster weighed around 100 pounds and crawled through thick prehistoric forests, leaving behind tracks that had been preserved in stone. Unlike modern millipedes that mostly eat plants, these ones probably consumed rotting wood, but some scientists think it may have been opportunistic and fed on small animals too. What's even stranger is that this creature lived during a time when northern England sat near the equator, meaning those forests were hot, humid, perfect for something like this to grow to freaky proportions. Fossils of its trackways show it wasn't just rare, it was common enough to leave trails across entire landscapes. I just hate that.